There's a number of attributes that I measure for and look for as far as how to test, measure, and coach and train for. It starts with mindsets, it goes into attitudes and beliefs that I know are necessary for you to be an authentic buyer first seller and collaborate with them. So here's the top 3 things of what it takes to be a buyer first seller. First, we have to get our need for approval under control. To seek it is practically hardwired into our brains. When we were in our early years of development as humans, that's how we survived. If you were left out of the group, that meant you were probably going to die. When we were children and we did something new, we looked to our parents for approval that we were doing the right things. It's wired into us to seek approval from others, to get that validation. But it gets in our way when we're trying to sell. It gets in our way of asking tough questions. It gets in our way when we want to have people see us in a certain way, because when we're not able to ask the tough questions, we tell people what they want to hear. Who trusts that person? When we're not exactly aligned with our own values because we're seeking the approval of others, we don't come off as authentic and transparent. It shouldn't be a surprise that 60% of sellers, according to data from Objective Management Group, struggle with the need for approval. The reality is that when we struggle with that need for approval, we're not going to ask the tough questions. We're not going to be trusted and trustworthy to our buyers. And the other thing of it is that managing your need for approval, when you let other people tell you or dictate or influence how you spend your time or how you make your decisions or even what your opinions are, you lose awareness of what's important to you, what drives you, what makes you happy. So you do things that don't align with your values, that creates a cognitive dissonance, and things don't come off well. Now, the other thing that happens is managing our emotions. This is the other mindset that's important for us to be buyer first. As far as the skill set goes, how to be collaborative. When we get wrapped up in our heads and we talk to ourselves, whether that's because the buyer asked us an unexpected question, or we're scrambling to come up with what we think is the right answer, or maybe our buyers expressed interest and we get excited that, oh, they're going to buy. We jump into talking about our offering. When that happens, and it likely will, it makes it nearly impossible for us to be in the present moment. We're somewhere else. You ever tried to have a conversation with a teenager while they're texting? That's kind of how your buyers feel when you're not in the present moment. 63% of sellers struggle to manage their emotions while selling with buyers, which, by the way, remember the Buyer First survey? Active listening is the #1 thing that buyers want in sellers. If we're not managing our emotions in the moment as our buyer says they have a problem we can solve for, or that they're the decision maker, or that the solution that they just said they loved is now too expensive and they're going to shop our biggest competitor, we get excited, we get anxious, and we're in our heads and we're trying to think about what to say, what to do, how do I get them to buy? We're out. We're out of the moment. We're out of the chance to hear what they're actually saying. And we're out of the opportunity to come up with the right question to ask so we can better understand why they said what they did. We're not present, we're not actively listening, and we're not asking the next question to understand more. Both of these mindsets impact the skill set that is so critical to be able to be buyer first, and that's the ability to listen and ask questions. We can't do that if we're in our heads. We can't do that if we're struggling to think of what to say so that they'll like us.